Вітаю на YouTube-каналі Франко ТВ. Наш гість Fabian Janssen, мультимедійний журналіст та режисер з Німеччини, який працює у зонах воєнних дій та в кризових регіонах. І, зокрема, має досвід роботи в Україні під час повномасштабного вторгнення. Проводив воркшопи з цієї теми для студентів та студенток нашого факультету журналістики Львівського національного університету імені Івана Франка. І, власне, з Фабіаном поговоримо про те, як це працювати у зоні війни.
Hello, Fabian. And I know that it's not your first visit to Lviv and to Ukraine in general. And my first question to you will be, how all these visits differs from time to time and about your experience in Ukraine?
I would say there are some things that are the same and staying the same, which I really like and really like here a lot, and which is amazing. That's how nice all people are, like how open the city is, for example, here in Lviv. The food is great. So like that's everything really awesome and nice. And I would say what changed, of course, a bit. So the first time I came to Ukraine was in 2019 for filming, so before the full-scale invasion. But we're also filming already in the east, and of course there was also a war activities going on. And at that time, you really could already feel the strengths that a lot of Ukrainian people spread and have, and how they want to be there for their families, their friends, their country, and that also didn't change. But of course, then with the full-scale invasion and now the years that's going on, you can feel sometimes a little bit, of course, the tiredness maybe a little bit, and also the sadness about all the losses, and life gets harder in some way. But still, and that's the inspiring thing, is you see how all people, and that's really inspiring every time you come to Lviv or another town in Ukraine, how everyone is out in the streets and makes music and dances and laughs and tries to keep the life and the spirit up, and that's very impressive. And
when we are talking about your work experience in Ukraine, is it different from 2019 when you came the first time and now in 2024 after full-scale invasion, after so many years of full-scale war? Is it different for you as for journalist?
It's different. I would say the constant threat you have for yourself is different. In 2019, working in Ukraine, of course, if you did go to the east and to the front lines at that point, then you also had some danger we were thinking about demining, landmines and anti-personnel mines, and of course there you had places where you had the threat of stepping on something, or you also could hear artillery at some times in some way. But you kind of never had air alarms, or you had the threat of incoming missiles and planes or drones. And that changed drastically as long as the full-scale invasion is going, and it's going on longer. So now you have kind of in every place where you go in Ukraine, you have a lot of times air alarm. You have the threat for yourself when you're working in the east, closer to the front lines, getting attacked by drones. By FPV drones, the small ones, which completely wasn't there in 2019, for example.
And when we are talking about the rules for journalists when you are working in Ukraine, and what the main safety rules for you and for your staff, for the member of your team, maybe if you don't work alone, that's what the main rules, and maybe at the same time you will give some recommendations for our students which maybe decide to work on, because there are a lot of war conflict zones and so on in all over the world. It's our type of life now. It's a pity, but it is. And what the main rules for you, for your team, safety rules when you are working in Ukraine? And the next questions, maybe, is it different when you are working in other conflict zones, for example?
I would say, yeah, there are main rules that you could say you should take care of in every country you go, in every war or conflict zone. And of course, every country or every region place has some specifications and details you should also consider. I would say for myself, but also I mostly never work alone. You also always have a team around when you go to other country. For example, Ukraine, I sadly don't speak Ukrainian, so I always need a translator. I need a field producer or a fixer who is from here, who can help me with language, with cultural things, who can better translate perspectives of people which I wouldn't maybe understand. So I would say that's also one of the first safety rules you have. Always connect with locals. Always connect with the people who actually live and are from the country, from the region, from the war or conflict zone, because that gives you a lot of insights. The people know the place very well. They know how to respond to threats. They can also, like, better than yourself, understand the situation, how difficult or dangerous it's going to be, or can change quickly. They have all the other contacts around, to military, to ambulances, to medical stuff in their way, like to other journalists, to their friends and family who give them insights about what is going on. And I would say that's the most important thing, to have like good contacts who you trust in, because you trust them with your life and they also trust you with their life, that you are also reasonable working. And that's very important. Spend time with them beforehand, have a lot of calls, meet them maybe if possible in person before, like to build trust for both sides and like get to know each other. Because you also will work a lot of time with them. So if you're like 10, 14, maybe longer days with them in a row, it's very intense. You have sometimes 10-hour days, but maybe sometimes you like 24, 48 hours in the same room with them. So you have to have, at least in professional, in best case, you have kind of almost a friendship understanding at some point, because you spend so much time together. So that's a big safety rule, yeah.
And you are talking about all these connections, and as for all journalists, I think that connections are very important. But as from your experience, is it maybe more important in these war zones, all these connections?
I would say connections and a good network is for all journalists, no matter what topic you're working on or where you're working on, is always really important, because that gives you like the insights, that gives you details, that gives you knowledge. But of course in war zones it's like really important to have it, because if you just walk around somewhere, then you never have like a backup. So it's really, I would say, one of the most necessary things to have, yeah.
And I want to come back to your workshop's topic. It's for our student at the Faculty of Journalism, is YouTube reporting in war zones between algorithm and empathy. And what does it mean in practice for you, this, to be between?
Yeah. For me it means like that you have in times of social media where everyone, or a lot of people, really consuming fast media content, maybe from the bus, while they're waiting on the train or something like that, in between two lessons, like lectures or lessons. You have to really quick catch people with your content, otherwise they won't watch it, and then the algorithm of the platform will not play it out further. So you get like not the clicks and the reach you need to spread the good story and the important story you want to show, and the people you interviewed, like they also want to show what their life is like, how they have to live, and you want to like give that to as many people as possible. So if you don't catch the people in a quick time, then yeah, a lot of like films sadly get not played out well from the platform. So then it's always the struggle between like make a catchy, almost entertaining, adventure-like introduction of your topic that a lot of people think, oh, I want to watch that, and stay to it. But still be sensitive with the topics you're working on, because we are working in war and conflict zones, so that means there's a lot of like pain for people. People die, people get injured. It's nothing you want to make an entertainment of, for myself at least. It's like something, it's nothing you want to like make too just like an adventure, because maybe it is a bit, of course, that, but it's like in the end something that means always for other people a lot of like struggle. So that's the difficulty between making it catchy and entertainment in the first, I would say, like, let's say, first frame, the thumbnail, the first 3 to 60 seconds of the video to catch the people, and then afterwards make the turn to maybe a bit more slow tell, let the people talk a lot, you interview the people who really are in the struggle, and tell all perspectives and sides of the story that they can, in a sensitive and secure way, tell how they have to deal with the war, the conflict that is going on around them. Yeah.
And you do content to international audience. It's not for Ukrainians. Yeah, it's for German and for people all over the world who know English or Germany. Your content is.
The most would say journalistic work I do is for people in Germany or like the German-speaking areas and countries. But of course, you can when you publish on YouTube or on other platforms, then everybody could like watch it in the world. And a lot of times you try to make maybe English subtitles in it. For example, when I also post privately for myself on Instagram, I always try to post in English that everybody can.
Yeah, but my question will be about the feelings of the audience, because when we in Ukraine, when we make some content for Ukrainians, it's very different, because we live here day by day, and we used to be in all this situation, yes. And when I'm talking to some foreigners, sometimes I could hear that, okay, we are a little bit tired of all this pain that you have in Ukraine, because there are a lot of war zones, and from all these war zones we have different media news and so on. And what's your maybe rules, or how you work with it, with all these challenges, how to talk to your audience and to have to tell all these really hard stories about the conflicts and the war zone, from the war zones?
I think for myself it's like the approach a bit, you don't always have to tell pain. I mean that anyway, if you report from a conflict or war zone, that will be some part of the atmosphere always, of course. But still there you can find very inspiring and constructive and optimistic stories, because you have a lot of people who, for example, stay in their country, who try to make something good even out of the bad situation from it. Open a new cafe, for example, in a conflict region in the east. We met people in Kramatorsk who came back, they fled to Germany in the beginning of the invasion, and then came a year back later and opened a coffee shop in Kramatorsk, so like 20 kilometers from the fighting. And that is something which is, of course, a painful story, but also very constructive and very optimistic. And if you then like let the people speak themselves and tell like how they're standing there, even in the middle of an air alarm, like smiling in their new coffee shop, and say like, hey, we did that, and since we did that, a lot of people around come here every day and like look a bit more happy and like have some inspiration for themselves, and not every day like just hearing air alarm and the struggle. They have something, okay, I get a nice coffee, and then maybe the alarm feels a little bit less sad. So, and that's something what I say it's always good to show from war and conflict zones, because of course war and conflict is a lot of struggle, a lot of pain, it's a lot of dying and getting injured. But also it's a lot of people being somewhere and making something, or trying to make something good out of a really bad situation. And that's something also should be told about war, how it's like a normality in some way tries to keep going, yeah.
And what's your maybe some rules, or not only rules, how to create all these stories, not about people, but with all these people you are working on, about the war, even about this inspiration from the war zone conflicts, because to work with people and to tell stories about some people, it's not so easy. What is more important for you? To tell stories about all these people, or to have all these connections with all these people and to create the story with them?
for me, it's more important to create a story with them, and that's like you said, like as a journalist, you can tell a story about people, about something. So, but it's always like, okay, I come from Germany, we don't have an active war, I come somewhere and I tell them the story of someone here. I think that's not fair, because like, for me, it's the other way around. So I would like to let people tell their story themselves, because they know much more better than I do how they feel, how it's going on for them, like what struggles they have, what positive things they have. So, and they have maybe a totally different perspective than I have with my German glasses looking on some situation. And so I would try mostly like to work with them, to get to know them, spend time with them, and then give them the time to tell what they want to tell. And of course, then as a journalist, you come back home and then you have to, of course, to fact check some things, and you have to make a small voiceover at some point and add some detail that they maybe didn't tell, or it's like a factual thing and they was talking more emotionally, and then you add this like facts to it. And then you can let them tell the story and also, build a story together.
When you were talking about all this algorithm of YouTube and about empathy, and my next question for you will be about your emotions, because it's not so easy to work with people and to tell their stories and to listen to their stories. And do you have some experience, or do you faced with this situation when your own emotions maybe works not so well? And you feel that, okay, it's not okay, and I need maybe some help. It's because the mental health of journalists, it's also the challenge.
That can be sometimes challenging to hear a lot of like emotional stories, to hear a lot of like painful stories. I mean, of course, you come there as a journalist, you come there as a professional who like tries to let people tell their stories, bring them back home and like make a reportage from it. But of course, you're not like cold-hearted and just come there and listen. It does nothing to you. It does definitely. And I would say a thing it's good to learn is like can have some distance always also for yourself, not like being distant, but like can separate between, okay, that's the story that happened to some person and that's my story, and like we work together and then like tell this story. But of course you get affected by it. So for example, we were filming on the cemetery in Kharkiv, for example, and the funerals, and there was the whole family and burying the young soldier who got killed. And like I was filming that. We asked beforehand with our fixer if it's okay for the family that we like from distance to not like disturb them in all their like struggle anyway, like if it's okay to film. We were allowed to do that, and like that was so emotional, like how they're like the coffin was open, you can see like the mom hanging over it and like crying, and like I was filming that and crying myself at the same time, because just like then you also feel all this like pain they have, and just think about like, okay, what would be like that for my family if that would be me or someone I know, and that makes you sad and like emotional. And then for me it's always like if something like that happens, I think it's not good to like hide your own emotions or like to like just push them away. It's like do your job, be professional in the moment, but also be open with it. So what I like to do, and also the teams I worked with like to do always, and what I also asked for is like that if someone feels bad or sad or something happens, then like let's talk about it. Just talk about it in the evening or when it happens, like, or that someone can take the time to have a moment to like deal with it. And also at home then talk with family and friends about it. And if you really feel affected by it for a long term, then look for professional help. That's the best thing you can do, and that's completely normal, because sometimes some people say like, oh, you can't go to a psychologist. It's like, yeah, do it. That's the best thing you can do. It's like when you have a cough, you also go to the doctor, you know?
Yeah, of course.
That's the same. If you feel sad for months because something happened, then go to a doctor.
To a professional.
And go to a professional and like
look for
help.
Have to be objective in this situation.
Yeah. Of course, you always have to try to be as objective as possible, and if you have your own opinion in something, then always like market that you're telling your own opinion in some way, that people outside understand that's not the fact, that's your opinion to something. And I would say trying to be objective works in the way that when you let people tell their stories, that you fact check them afterwards, if it's correct what people are saying. If it's not correct, then you have to like tell that. And always find the stance to, for example, in Ukraine, it's like we're reporting from Ukraine and we are not reporting from the other side, from the Russian side at the moment, because it's a lot of times not possible also to go there. I can't get an accreditation even, or my work there would be really like circled in. I can't like work as freely as I maybe can here on this side. So then still try to be here, let the people here tell their story, but still like try to bring it in some way of balance. Like I would say like just stay human, so don't take a side. I won't say like everything's what's happening here is right. So it's like I just let the people tell their story, I fact check it, we talk about it, we give an impression to the outside, how is it the life for the people here. But yeah, I don't will comment like how bad something from this or this side is done completely. If it's necessary because it's like a crime against humanity or something like that, of course you do it. But you try to stay like, yeah, close to your protagonists, but always, yeah, don't take their stance on opinion. It's like I have my own opinion, my own like view on it, and like then find it.
So you let your audience to make own conclusions about.
Yeah, in the end, of course, the audience, I think, always have to make their own conclusions, and they should be critical with every work that's out in media, no matter how much they like and now how factual something is. Like they always should, like, of course, make their own thing from it. And for me, it's important to bring a lot of perspectives in a film, like if it's possible, to show all sides. So to let every side tell something to it. And of course, in some ways, you know who is maybe more on the right than the other side, and who is the aggressor and who is not the aggressor. And you have to tell that, and you should tell that. And then if you do that, and then let people just tell what they experienced and how their life is, and you checked it and everything is right about that, then I think most people, I hope so, can like make their own view on it and get a really good impression of what you reported.
And my final question for you will be, could you give some advices for our students and for young journalists who want to tell difficult stories, maybe difficult stories from conflict zones or war zones, responsibly? How to work?
How to work, yeah. What the other colleague...
How to be responsible.
Totally. No, I think the first thing what the other colleague just said in the end of a seminar is like, don't give up. A lot of times it's a lot of struggle, and a lot of times it won't work. A lot of times you come somewhere and then the story is not there anymore, or it's not working. So like then you have to spontaneous adjust and find a new story, or just like switch to a different city, place. So stick to it, be consistent in it, and like try again. But also like to be responsible about it. It's exactly that, like don't talk over the people, talk with the people and let the people talk. Be empathic, be nice to people. It's like give them the chance to express themselves, and don't rush to it and like just hold the camera on it without asking, and then like leave again and then just talk about it. Just like go there, take your time if you have the chance. Make connections, build trust with them. Ask in a lot of situations when it's possible before you start filming. And like, for example, on the funeral, it's like I think it would be not correct just like stay there 2 meters away and start filming on the camera. So that with the camera, it's like that's not sensitive, that's not responsible. Like let someone who knows the people, who knows the culture, like the language, like ask if it's okay, and if it's okay, then start your work and approach slowly, and in that way also be responsible and sensitive with feelings and struggles of other people. I would say that's very important. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for these really empathic recommendations and these advices for our journalists. Thank you for your workshop. And thank you for this conversation, and hope to see you in Lviv and in Ukraine.
Yeah, definitely.
Next time.
I will come
Thank
definitely
you.
back. Thank you very much for the interview.